I'm the Slafied Enderman, and welcome to my first ever Redstone tutorial. And in this Redstone tutorial I'm gonna talk about the basics of Minecraft Redstone source blocks. There will be the rest I will talk about in other videos. I don't want to make the videos too long, so in this video we're just gonna talk about the sources of Redstone, and that's the main sources as well. Now let's quickly switch to first view and go right into it. Okay, so first off you have the Redstone Torch. This one you will use in most Redstone contraption. It's very useful and very important in Redstone. Now this one powers in 4 main directions. As you guys can see, 1, 2, 3 and 4. It powers upwards as well. It hard powers this block and thereby it powers the redstone. As you guys can see, it does not power downwards. The torch is placed on the block. It does not power it softly because the repeater does not give an output, and it doesn't power it hardly either because it does not give an output in any other way. Now you can place the redstone torch sideways or on the side of a block, which is very useful, and this way it does power the block or the redstone dust below it. It does not power the block below it, and it does hard power the block above it. Now this allows some nice features, just as this. This block redstone is powered due to the hard powering of this block. So basically that's what we mean with hard power. When a redstone component hard powers a block, like the redstone torch hard powers this block, the block actually becomes a power source for the redstone dust surrounding it. This redstone torch still gives power in 3 other sides, which is these 3, 1, 2 and 3. It does not power the block behind it though. So basically you can say it does not power the block it's been put on. If it's put on the floor block, it does not power that block. If it's placed on the side of a block, it does not power that block. Now if you have to be careful when placing it on the side of a block. If you hard power this block and then place a redstone dust there, that causes a short circuit, burning out the torch. How does it happen? The torch hard powers this block, and then the block powers the redstone dust powers this block, unpowering the redstone torch, and that keeps going into a loop, turning out to burn the redstone torch. How does the redstone torch turn off and on? I will explain that in an upcoming video. This video is just talking about the sources of redstone. Now the next on we have 2 buttons, the stone button and the wooden button. They're basically the same. They give a signal strength as well as the redstone torch. They give a signal strength as 15. This is 15 right here, this is 16. If we place those pistons right there, the 15 still powers the blocks adjacent to it, however 16 does not, and that goes for all redstone components that we're gonna see in a bit. Now the redstone button, the buttons, both stone and wood, power in all direction or all adjacent blocks, which means it powers in these main 4 ones. It powers as well, if I can crouch 1 second, place that. It also powers the blocks above it, and if we look right here, second, piston, block, button, it also powers that way, or that's the same thing basically. The button hard powers the block, which powers the piston. Same for the button and all of these redstone components, well, most of them, at least the lever and the pressure plates. They also power the blocks above them. In fact, let me place it already. And the lever also gives a signal strength of 15. As you guys can see, 15, 16 is off. The difference between the lever and the buttons is that this one is permanent. Until you flick it off, it goes off, or well, constant, it's not permanent. The pressure plates, there are 4 types of pressure plates. These 2 act similar, and then those 2 act similar. Now the first 2 are the wooden and the stone one. The wooden detects players, mobs and items. What I mean with items is if I drop some redstone on it, 1 second, there we go, it gives a redstone output. However, the stone pressure plates does not detect items, it still detects players and mobs. The golden and iron pressure plates. Now the golden and iron pressure plates, they basically function like a real life scale, if you want. The golden one gives a signal strength for each item or person or mob that is standing on the pressure plate. So if I'm standing here right now, you guys can see the signal strength is 1. That one is not powered yet, but if I add an item to the mix, then the signal power becomes 2, and so on. So if I add 1, 2, and 3. The signal strength is 3, and so on. Maximum is 15. Now the iron pressure plate works in the same manner, except it's a bit, it reads a bit harder. This one functions for every 10 mobs or items or entities, so every 10 counts as 1. So if I place 10 players there or 10 items there, it gives a signal strength of 1. As soon as it becomes 11, it gives a signal strength of 2, and so on all the way to 15 as well, which means a maximum of 150. Now I have the redstone block right here. This one gives redstone power in 4 main directions. It does not power the block above it. It does power the redstone dust under it and redstone dust above it as well. If I place some redstone dust on top of it, that one is powered as well, which is logical. It does not power the block below it, as you guys can see. One second, let me grab the iron blocks back and place it there, and it does not power the block, it just powers the redstone, which is still, I mean, still works for pistons. Okay, so after that we have the observer. The observer notices changes that happens in front of it and then gives the redstone pulse out of it. Now the redstone pulse is hard powering, so it can hard power the block behind it. As you guys can see, if I place a block right there, it gave a pulse. It does not have to be a block behind it, you can just give it direct output and still does the same. Then we have the daylight sensor. This one is relatively new. It has been in the game for a while, but many players are not familiar with it yet. The redstone, this one is the daylight sensor or the nightlight sensor. It has 2 modes, daylight and nightlight. It has a maximum of 15 redstone strengths signal, basically, which is in daylight mode, and you have to be at noon, which can be seen by the clock where the sun is in the center. Now at night mode, it's also maximum night signal strength is also at midnight, and it gives a signal strength of 11. It does not reach further than 11. Now the daylight sensor also powers the blocks that are placed above it, so let me switch to daylight and place a block on top of it, and it also powers the redstone dust below it. It does not power the redstone block below it, so the block below it, so it does not power this block at all. Not softly, because the repeater doesn't give an output, and not holly, because that is still off. Now all of these redstone components, I have played them here next to pistons. Now most of them, which are the main ones, the lever, the torch, the buttons, and the pressure plates, can't be moved, which means if I try to move them with the pistons, they break. However, we have these 3 here, which is very useful. We have the observer, the daylight sensor, and the redstone block. Now these can be moved, which is very useful. Now the redstone observer, the observer basically detects a change, and that gives results in an outpulse or a pulse that goes out of it. The daylight sensor and the redstone block are both already giving an output out, but it has no redstone adjacent to it, so it's not powering anything. But when it extends, it powers the redstone dust. Now this can be used very handily in a sort of type of button or extension for a button or lever. It can also be working in an opposite way, where it's already powering something, and then by the press of a button it unpowers it. But that's the basics of the main sources of redstone, I think. Okay, so that's the basics of the redstone main redstone source blocks. I will be covering these here behind me in the next video, in an upcoming video. These aren't redstone source blocks per se. They're normal redstone items that you can interact with, but they do give a redstone output if used in a certain way. These will be covered in an upcoming video, as well as the other redstone components, which will be done in a separate video, where we will talk about the repeater, the components of the hoppers, and all the other items, including the pistons, of course. I hope you liked the video. I hope it helped you out understand the basics of redstone in Bedrock Minecraft. At least the source blocks, that is. This is my first redstone tutorial, and my first tutorial at all. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit subscribe for more content, and I hope I see you guys in the next video.